Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from, depending on when you're watching this recording. Thank you so much for joining us for another opportunity to discuss another amazing destination in the world. I feel like I say this every time I'm talking about Nanda Journeys, but this is truly one of my favorite destinations I've ever been to. Australia and New Zealand. This journey happening November 1st to the 16th, 2025, later this year, with the owner and founder of Nanda Journeys and her husband, Dominic. Nicola, Dominic, thank you guys so much for joining us. I think this is the first time you're joining us for a webinar or a conversation, Dominic, but it's a pleasure to have you here as well.
Yeah, I think I've done one more. I think I did the Greece one, but which
We
I was on that one a couple of years ago.
Oh,
So
you are? Oh, good.
we're keeping
Well,
to a
thank you both.
limited audience.
yeah,
Well, thank you both so much for joining us. Before we get to all the amazing details of this amazing journey we have coming up, just a little bit of housekeeping. Everybody on this webinar is muted. That does not mean we don't want your questions. We absolutely do. So if you do see the chat button or the Q&A button there, please, any questions you have, we want this to be a dynamic and inclusive presentation. So any questions you have, we'll be sure to get to them throughout the conversation, and we'll also have some time at the end for any question and answer as well. So drop your questions in the chat as we go through it. We'll try and infuse them into our conversation. Secondly, this webinar is being recorded. So if you do have to step away, or if you have someone who really wanted to be here that just was not able to attend, whether that's a traveling companion or somebody else who you think would be very interested, we are recording it. So the recording will be sent out to everyone as well. So with that being said, I'm honored and it's a pleasure to speak to and talk with Nicola and Dominic about our trip. I am your host, Michael Ziegel. I'm the director of a product development director here at Nanda Journeys. Thank you so much for joining us. And Nicola, one of my favorite things to do before we get into Australia, New Zealand, and all the amazing things we're going to be seeing, tell us a little bit about yourself for those that are new, and a little bit about who Nanda Journeys is.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy to have everybody joining us today, and we're actually coming to you from Spain. Dominic and I are on our second month of digital nomad journey around the world to explore new places for Nanda Journeys and run the business from the road. So 7 p.m. here in España, and it's lovely and warm and beautiful and sunny. So welcome everybody. I see a lot of very familiar names and some new names. So as I say on each of these opening webinars, welcome to the Nanda family, because that's exactly how we think of you, whether you're considering joining us or whether you've joined us before, or whether or not you're just curious about Nanda Journeys and what we do. We like to think we do things a little bit differently at Nanda Journeys.
I think we do.
The most important thing that I want you to take away from tonight's conversation is we do it from the heart, always. We want to show you the world the way we like to see the world, Dominic and I. And whilst I've been to Australia many times and New Zealand many times, it will be Dominic's first time down under, as we like to say. So Dominic and I have run several journeys together with our wonderful Nanda family, and I can't wait to see everybody in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about Nanda Journeys is this authentic thing that kind of came about, which is the Nanda way, right? For those that haven't been on a Nanda journey up to this point, they always come back saying there's something different about a Nanda trip or a Nanda experience, it kind of came about organically. Tell us a little bit about what the Nanda way is and how it finds its way into each and every one of your journeys.
Yeah, and I know, again, I see some very familiar names joining us today on this webinar. So if you have something to share with us about the Nanda Way, drop us your comments, or if you want to come on and have a little chat, you can do that too. But the Nanda Way really was born organically from our leaders, from our participants, from our guides. I think the origin story has to go to Daniel in Peru, who I think first coined the phrase. But when it started coming back to us so frequently, we really thought, let's embrace it. It really is what we just get up every day and do. But we want to show you the world in a very authentic way, to connect you to people that live, work, have deep culture. We want to introduce you as if you were living there, to a destination. So everything is bespoke, everything we create for everybody, whether it be these journeys that Dominic and I lead, or a journey that you're traveling to join a professional group or another cultural group. everything is bespoke. I think one of my favorite things is we don't have a catalog, and we never plan to have a catalog, because we want to create the experience that always is in alignment with the purpose of every journey that we do. So small group experiences that really connect to people locally, but not only connect to people locally, they actually have an impact for people locally too. So we try and keep your travel dollars as local as possible to the small community that we're staying in at any given time.
One thing that I really like about, not only are you supporting and promoting and helping local communities, as a Nanda traveler, you show up and everything else is taken care of for you, right? You don't have to worry about much. So tell us a little bit about, obviously we're going for many of us, it's going to be the first time going to Australia, but maybe it's the first time traveling with Nanda. What exactly is included in a Nanda journey?
Well, everything, pretty much. So we spend a lot of time curating the program to try and make sure that we show you the highlights, things that you're not going to miss because you're going down here probably for the first time. It's one of those areas that we recognize is a bucket list kind of destination. So we're going to make sure that you don't see everything that you need to see, but we're also going to try and show you things that we really want you to see that connects you to the local people. So our meal inclusions, most of your meals are included. There is some meals on own, especially on these journeys that Dominic and I lead. There's a little bit more free time. It's a cultural journey, so there's so much to do. So we have incorporated a bit of free time on this itinerary. We know shopping is important to certain people, or a unique dining experience that they've always wanted to do. But we'll always have an expert on hand. So we'll have a local expert in Australia. We'll have a local expert in New Zealand, and we'll have an additional guide join us as well so that they can take us and show us their country from their perspective. So private transportation, your porterage at the hotels, tips for the local guides that are joining us. We really just want you to be able to turn up with your suitcase, not overpacked. Tanya, if you're listening. So we just want you to come and enjoy yourself, basically, and let us take care of the details.
That's awesome. And this trip is especially unique because they're actually traveling with, you've mentioned this, with two VIPs. Nicola and Dominic, you guys are hosting. You've hosted before in the past. I think it's something you do every year. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you've chosen Australia, New Zealand for this particular journey. Why Australia, New Zealand for this journey? And tell us a little bit about what it's like as you guys as journey hosts.
Well, I would say VIP stands for very independent people. So that's what I would say when we're talking about traveling. But for us, really, we love traveling. We've traveled together for many years now.
Many, many years, yes.
35 years, I think, maybe.
Will be, yeah.
Yeah, 35 years, and our first journey was to Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands. I worked in travel. Dominic worked in construction, but he lived and breathed travel because I lived and breathed travel. So when we decided that we wanted to start Nanda Journeys, it made sense for Dominic to come and join this journey with us and be part of the team. Dominic loves travel too. I think your first journey was where? To Spain?
To Spain, yes, Ibiza, the island.
Mm-hmm.
And
as was customary when you turned the grand old age of 17 or 18.
Yeah, 18 when I was there, yes.
In England. And we've journeyed around the world together with our kids and independently. And as you say, Michael, each year since we started Nanda Journeys, we've led one of our journeys because we love traveling and connecting with our clients. And we just love creating relationships, and if we're traveling with people that love traveling, we're always learning something. And that's really important. And as I mentioned, we're currently in Spain, exploring new things before moving on elsewhere. And ultimately, we'll see you all down under in November.
But one of the reasons we're embarking on this year travel is so that we can connect even more with our partners throughout Europe. We've had a few groups traveling to Spain and Portugal in the last few weeks and the upcoming weeks. We can call in on them so we can meet our travelers who we haven't met before. We can meet our partners. And talking face to face again and looking at things from a different point of view when you're living here just adds to the authenticity of hopefully down the road for our future journeys. Which is one of the reasons we're doing this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're doing it for the greater good of Nanda Journeys, right? There's no
Yes.
personal
There's
reasons
no
for it.
selfish motivation in here
Yeah, yeah.
whatsoever. No.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this amazing journey. I've never, again, I said this is one of my favorite destinations, but I've never actually been to Australia. We've had this conversation. I've been in the Sydney airport, which doesn't count. If you're in the travel industry, it does not count. So I've never technically been to Australia, but I have been to New Zealand, and I loved every aspect and every moment of it. Some of the most dramatic and most beautiful scenery I've ever seen in my entire life. So on this particular journey, it's going to be a 16-day, 13-night journey. 24 meals, 12 breakfasts, 6 lunches, and 6 dinners. Day 1, we depart for Australia. We do cross the international date line, which is why it looks like you're going to be spending 2 days on the plane, but I promise you, you won't be spending 2 days on the plane. It's just you cross the international date line, so you do get those 2 days. We arrive in Sydney, where we'll spend 3 nights in the beautiful city of Sydney. We travel north to Cairns, where we have an opportunity to see some of the wildlife, as well as getting a chance to see the Great Barrier Reef, which we will talk about. We fly south. We spend some time in Melbourne and head out to Yarra for an awesome wine experience, which we will talk about as well. From there, we head over to New Zealand, Queenstown, one of my favorite cities in the entire world, the city of adventure, the birthplace of bungee jumping. You can actually see the bridge.
Not
I don't
an
know if
included, not an included item. 100% solely independent choice.
Yeah, I still regret not doing it. So I do recommend, if you have the chance, if you have the guts to do it, definitely go bungee jumping off of that bridge. We spent 2 nights there, fly north to Rotorua, spending 2 nights in Rotorua before flying home from Auckland, New Zealand. So an amazing journey, getting a chance to see everything that the region has to offer. A once in a lifetime experience, a trip of a lifetime. So on day 1, we depart for the U.S. for Sydney, Australia. Like I mentioned, you will lose 1 day due to that crossing the international date line. And Nanda Journeys will assist with booking the flights from wherever you're flying out of. Tell us a little bit about that experience of booking the flights. And I know you've flown to Australia before. What about that long flight? How is that? A lot of people can be intimidated by that. Tell us a little bit about that experience too, Nicola.
For me personally, I love the nonstop elements of flying and just getting to a destination. And there are flights now from Dallas, Fort Worth, also from LAX. There is the longest flight in the world now, I think, from New York as well down to Australia. So the planes are the wide-body planes. They're very quiet. They're very modern. I'm very fortunate I can sleep on a plane. Dominic would tell you stories for the rest of the webinar about that if I let him. But it really, yes, it's long. It's long, 14, 15 hours getting there. But Air New Zealand has flights, Qantas has flights, American Airlines has flights. So there are a lot of choices for you now for this route where there wasn't before. So if you have, let's say, preferred status on American, for instance, it might be easier to get an upgrade if you have your points. So there's lots of different ways to look at this journey. You'll probably do a nonstop on the way, one way or the other, because we go into Sydney and then out of Auckland. So depending on whether you fly Air New Zealand or the US or Australian carrier, one way will be nonstop. Coming back, you'll probably have a stop somewhere. But a lot of people are electing to arrive early, stay longer. That long flight needs to be optimized. And if you have the budget and the time, this is a great opportunity to do that.
Those long flights go by a little bit quicker when you have the TV right in front of you, and you can watch movies and watch TV shows and everything. But yeah, so once we land in the beautiful city of Sydney, getting a chance to get some cultural immersion going in on day 3, we arrive, and upon our arrival, do we get right to it? Do we have a little bit of time to relax and explore? How does that first day in Sydney go?
Well, after that long flight and losing a day, it's all about moving. So we're definitely going to hit the ground running a little bit here to do some guided experiences that help us to adjust to that time frame. I think a lot of our attendees on the webinar today, they're international experienced travelers, and we all know how important it is to get on that new time zone. Don't set your watch to America time. We're on Australia time now. We're down under and we're on a new time zone. Sydney for me is one of the most iconic cities in the world. It is a city, but it feels like a big city and a small city all at the same time. It has so much going on. It has the harbor, it has the highlights of a big grand city with the sky rises and the Sydney Opera House, that these beautiful colors that light up at the end of the day. So we're going to have a Sydney, cruise in the harbor, so we get to experience it from both perspectives. Like when you take pictures in Australia, it looks different, like from being out on the harbor to being landside, maybe on Bondi Beach. Every angle of the city looks completely different. So we'll do obviously some history. It's where, of course, the convicts arrived in the Rocks area. It's a harbor. It's a very, very big harbor. So we'll obviously learn a little bit about the history. Our fellow Brits being kicked out of England and sent all that way down to Australia. And yeah, there's some history, there's some culture, and a way of keeping us a little bit busy.
There is a little town just outside of Sydney called Balmain, actually, after her name. Wasn't a convict, he was actually the doctor on the ship. So I just want to get that straight before.
It's an important point of reference.
One of the things that I don't know if it's included in the itinerary, but one of the things in Sydney that a lot of people try to do or want to do is actually getting a chance to cross the Sydney Bridge or walk across the Sydney Bridge. I know that's something that's on your bucket list potentially for this particular journey as well, Nicola. If people want to experience different things, because you've been to Sydney before, what are some of the things that aren't included in the itinerary that you would say, this is something worth experiencing or worth exploring on your own during the free time?
Yeah, on the following day, we purposefully put a free day because there is so much that we could do, right? So some people might want to do that bridge climb. I have been to Sydney many times and not quite accomplished it yet. So I've set myself a mission. Now I have my right hand with me and my sturdy shoulders that I can hold on to. So there is that, but you can also go out to the Blue Mountains, right? So that is a little bit of a drive outside. The Blue Mountains has this, because of the foliage, this beautiful grand foliage, you're high up in the mountains, it's a blue haze to it. So that's how it gets the reference to the blue haze. So if you wanted nature and getting outside of the city, the Blue Mountains is something wonderful. There are so many beaches. If you wanted to surf Bondi and have a surf lesson, I did it. I did a baby wave and it was amazing. And I got my t-shirt and I'm all good. So I proudly told everybody in Santa Cruz when we lived there that I'd surfed Bondi Beach. So there were so many different things. There's additional water activities that you could do, or even the city. Botanical Gardens is absolutely incredible. So there's that whole day, and we can talk ahead of time before you travel about what might interest you on that day, so we can make some advanced reservations. Or just hang out, shopping if you
Shopping, of course, but remember, you've got to carry whatever you buy for the rest of the trip, tour. So
yeah, Dominic doesn't come along for that purposeful reason. So.
I'm definitely doing the bridge though, so if anybody would like to join me on that, that's fine. I would.
And that's a great point in terms of if you are a solo traveler, a lot of times free time can be a little intimidating, right? I don't know what to do. I don't have anybody I'm traveling with. Where should I go? Am I all on my own? Explain a little bit about any solo traveler that might be wanting to join this journey. What exactly is their experience during this free time?
From the groups that we've led before, there's never anybody by themselves.
No, one thing I will say, like about of Nanda Journeys, of Nicola's Nanda Journeys, is we have a joke when we're leading the journey that we say no man left behind. So it's usually yeah. Usually Nicola's at the front and I'm at the rear, making sure nobody gets lost or left out or anything. But yeah, even you will never struggle or be on your own when you're on a Nanda journey. It's just, it doesn't happen at all. So like I said, I will be saying, hey, I'm going off to do the bridge if anybody wants to join me. And of course, some partners might, and their partner might stay back, and there'll always be somebody to do with. Yeah.
Something with,
on Nanda Journeys. Like, you think you're strangers the first night. We've talked about this so many times, Michael, that welcome dinner. Okay, everybody, it's a little bit awkward. You don't know everybody. By the next day, it's like everybody's known each other forever.
Yeah.
That's great. So we spend our time in Sydney, and then after Sydney, we fly to the beautiful city of Cairns. I've never really known how to pronounce it. I call it Cairns. That's how I've always pronounced it. And I've been doing it for 15 years, so I mean, I'm probably going to continue to do that. So Cairns is in the northeastern part of Australia. It is the gateway to the Great Barrier Reef. But before we talk about the Great Barrier Reef, I know there's a very important and meaningful indigenous experience here in Daintree, and the experience in the Cairns area. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing in Cairns before we dive in, no pun intended, to the Great Barrier Reef.
Very nicely done, Michael. Very nicely done. I think of the entire itinerary, this particular day is my favorite. I was so very fortunate to visit Australia several times, doing product design for our student travel programs when I worked for a student travel company. So I was in Australia every year for many years, and this was always something that was very important to me because I saw the change. Like every country around the world, there are challenges with the indigenous population. And, in the United States, we have our challenges. All over the world, they have challenges with, social structure and land being taken and the loss of culture. The Australian government and the Australia Tourism Board, gosh, way back in the mid-2000s, they set up an initiative to encourage, support, and fund Indigenous tourism. And that allowed for people from the Aboriginal Indigenous culture to own their own businesses, to be able to showcase their culture, not just in the very staged and stagnant way that was pre that initiative, which was come to a cultural center, we'll tell you about it. Everybody thinks the boomerang exists as the only thing of identity for the Aboriginal culture. What you will learn is it depends where you lived and hunted as to whether or not boomerang was your primary mode of a hunting tool, right? It's not just something pretty and cool, it's functional. So this day is really important to me because it's an immersion in Indigenous culture with Aboriginal people. And they own and operate the businesses that we're going to engage with. So in Daintree Forest, we'll have a SkyRail experience beforehand to see this beautiful, beautiful rainforest from above. And then we'll go into the Daintree National Park. We'll have like a river experience. We'll have a guided grubs and shrubs experience. So get your taste buds ready for something really unique and different. And we'll learn about dot painting, right? Very, very important. It's not just about the visual art, it's about the story. So we'll have an art class that really tells us, why does dot painting exist? Why is it so important? And you'll have the chance to create a little bit of art yourself too. So this day, this one's my Nanda day. This is my Nanda Way day. And I'm really, really looking forward to everybody enjoying this one.
Yeah. Very, very on brand for Nanda Journeys for sure. Definitely one of those Nanda Journeys days. And then I didn't know if you had something to say as well, Dominic. So I was kind of pausing. It looked like you had something to say, but I didn't want to.
I mean, obviously, I haven't been to Australia yet, but the journeys I have been on with Nanda, the Indigenous days are always one of my favourites because we really do delve into how they live and their history and everything, and where they've come or
not sometimes,
or not sometimes. Yes,
good conversations. Yeah,
we had a great experience of that in Tanzania, but they're always so informative and so interesting that I don't think anybody will be disappointed.
Yeah,
certainly won't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. One of my favorite parts of travel are the people. It's the indigenous cultures. It's the people you meet, which is really what makes a destination special. And the animals and the marine life. And this is one of those places in the world, largest structure in the world made by animals. So the Great Barrier Reef, something that's on everybody's bucket list. Tell us a little bit about this day. It looks like they have the opportunity to take some optional excursions, including helicopter rides, which would be amazing. But tell us a little bit about this amazing day on the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, I mean, obviously iconic, and I'm so fortunate to have done this already once, and looking forward to doing it again with our Nanda family. So The experience includes obviously the boat ride and lunch and snorkeling, and they'll have a little glass bottom boat as well with the marine biologists on board. So specialist education. So this is an educational day as much as it's a fun experience to one of the the wonders of the world. But for those people that are a little bit more adventurous or are already qualified as scuba divers, you will have an opportunity to book scuba diving if you want to do that. There's also something, if you're not familiar with it, I did this because I can't dive, I can't do the breathing, but I did the scuba thing. So it's like a big helmet on your head and you walk along a frame underwater and air is put into your helmet so you can just breathe as normal. And then there's the helicopter. Yeah, if you wanted to see that aerial view that's showcased there on the picture, you could book a helicopter ride as well. So the day is, we're on the boat, we're out there. There are little jetties for you to do some snorkeling back and forth on the boats. There's educational talks as well. So this day can be curated to suit your specific, how deep do you want to go? Literally. Gosh, we're full of the past tonight. So really it does depend, what does your day want to look like for you?
Awesome. Seems like it's a very customizable day depending upon what kind of experience you want to have. Do you need, you may not know the answer to this question, but I'm assuming if you want to do scuba diving, you do need to be licensed to be in
Yeah,
scuba diving.
you
So
do.
you can't just go out
Yep,
there and get licensed while you're out there. You have to be already licensed.
exactly. Yep,
Okay,
100%. Yeah.
perfect. So if they are planning on going scuba diving, make sure they get their license before they leave.
Yeah.
Okay, so after our last day up in Cairns, we travel south to the beautiful city of Melbourne. Melbourne, in and of itself, is another aspect of Australia that brings a different taste, a different flavor than we've experienced in Cairns and in Sydney. Getting a chance to go see some of the amazing wine, the Wine Valley, the Yarra Valley. Explain to us and tell us a little bit about where Melbourne kind of stands on its own as a destination in Australia.
Yeah, again, it's so unique. I guess it's called the foodie culture, although people in the other cities across Australia would probably claim that they had a foodie culture too. The seafood culture of Sydney is also amazing, but the food and the wine down here in Melbourne is something really special. I'm also hoping that along the way, some of our Nanda friends, Harry and Genevieve, I think, will probably join us here, longtime Nanda friends. They live just outside of Melbourne, will probably come and join us in the Yarra Valley as well. But down here, we're going to do the Healesville Sanctuary as well. This is an opportunity where you get to see, the kangaroos, the koalas, the wallabies, all of those animals that are obviously indigenous to Australia, and we think are cute and cuddly, and they really are. But we'll learn all about their natural habitat, why it's important that conservation exists. And kangaroos actually can be a challenge to farmers as well. So they can be considered a pest, right? As cute as they look with their little pouches and their little babies. So we'll have a wonderful experience here, a day out to the winery, to see the sanctuary, and then to enjoy the city of Melbourne too. So we're seeing rural and urban Melbourne down here as well.
A lot to see. Before we move on, one thing I did notice, we don't have any questions or anybody in the chat asking any questions, but I realized that I can't chat with everyone. I can only chat with you and with other hosts and panelists. So I remember we had a challenge with it being turned off before one of our webinars. So I just want to make sure that it was available to everyone in case they do have questions before we move on to the beautiful country of New Zealand.
Thank you for checking that. Yeah, and if anybody wants to pop on and say anything, I can put your microphone on. So just put your hand up, let us know in the chat. Yeah, I think there's a few people on here that have my cell phone number. So if you're having problems, text me.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of Australia, before we go to New Zealand, I had one question kind of for both of you. You might have the same answer. But in terms of this experience that you're going to be having in Australia, what are you looking forward to the most? I'll start with you, Dominic. Since it's your first time, what are you looking forward to the most?
I think it'll be the Indigenous Day for me.
Yeah.
Also the animals. I think that'll be a big high point, because who doesn't love a koala, And how often are you going to get in your life to see one, so But definitely the
Yes.
indigenous, the culture, the history of it all. It's
Yeah.
definitely.
And you, Nicola, what are you looking forward to most? Someone who's been there a few times. What are you looking forward to seeing the first time, or maybe seeing again?
Yeah, for the first time, we haven't got there yet, but the Milford Sound. I have not been
Oh,
to the
okay.
Milford Sound.
What about
So
Australia? We're talking Australia. We're
oh,
not
in
getting to New
Australia,
Zealand yet.
sorry. Yes, I wasn't
Yeah.
paying attention to the question. Moving ahead. I think for me, doing the bridge climb and getting over my
Okay.
fear of heights. So
Right.
sense of accomplishment, I've set myself a goal. So
Yeah.
feel free, everybody who joins us, to hold me accountable to I can overcome my fear. I'm already working up to it.
Love it. Let's get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I love that. That's a
That's your
great
favorite phrase.
one of
You're
the
gonna
one of
have
the
to
one
lay
of
it
the
on me
sayings I
for a
live
few
by.
months.
I look forward to hearing all about it when you get back.
Yeah.
After a beautiful stop in Australia, we fly to, again, one of my favorite countries in the world, New Zealand, my first international destination in the travel industry when I joined 15 years ago. Really shaped the way that I love the travel industry. So New Zealand is a treat in and of itself. I love that you put it at the end because Australia has its own beauty. New Zealand is definitely very dramatic. I like to say it's dramatic. Huge mountains, huge cliffs, big lakes, a lot of water, just a ton to see, and definitely an amazing experience. Queenstown is our stop for the first beginning of the trip. One of the biggest cities on the southern part, on the southern island of New Zealand. A beautiful destination. Tell us a little bit about what we get a chance to experience, and what I like to say is the birthplace of adventure and the birthplace of bungee jumping, Queenstown, New Zealand.
Bungee jumping is not included. My insurance company will make sure that that is a little caveat on here.
Yeah, there you go.
But you're welcome to explore yourselves. So what we'll do down here, we'll take a steamship across this beautiful lake that you see here, and we'll have a barbecue as well. So this is an opportunity to have, a good old-fashioned down under barbecue at a homestead. Where we'll also get to see the art of sheep shearing as well. Obviously, very, very important part of their GDP is the agriculture and their farming and sheep in particular. You may or may not like lamb. Dominic and I were brought up on lamb, so we have, quite the penchant for lamb. But maybe we could encourage you to try it or not. Nobody has to do anything they don't want to do on a Nanda journey, but we'll provide the opportunity for sure. So Queenstown, as you say, dramatic scenery, absolutely stunning. The North and the South Island, and we're going to be on both, so different. So we're starting here on the South Island, and we're starting in Queenstown. But I think for me, it's the scenery. It's picture book. It's the pack. You can never ever capture it on your own camera. It's one of those places that the image will only ever be perfect in your mind, ever. It'll
Absolutely.
never look the same. And I don't know how you feel about your Queenstown visit.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of the images, you take the same picture, the same mountain 5 or 6 times and be like, that's not what I'm looking at.
Not it.
It just does not capture the vastness of, the beauty of the scenes and sights, and, getting a chance to see how they do the sheep shearing and that sort of stuff. There's more sheep than there are humans in New Zealand. So
Yes.
like it's a very big part of their overall culture. One thing that I was a little bit intrigued by was this idea of a Kiwi style gourmet barbecue dinner. I'm not sure if you know exactly what's included, but can you explain a little bit about what they mean by Kiwi style barbecue? What does that necessarily entail?
So I think it's, being outdoors, and I guess in the same way as we talk about a good old fashioned American barbecue, right? So there is somewhat
Hmm.
a similarity in the culture there is like getting together at the Barbie, like having
Yeah.
friends come together. There'll be lots of local meats. There will be lamb, for sure. But there'll be lots of choices of food. But the purpose of this here is to feel like you're in an Australian homestead. Like, you're enjoying what it's like to live on the land. And in New Zealand, yeah, sorry. To live on the land and be on the land and be part of the land, right? Be part of the culture. So the menu itself, I don't know actually what's going to be served yet.
There'll be lots of meat, I can
There'll be
assure you
lots
that.
of meats, but
Yes.
vegetarian options as well for those of you joining us that are vegetarian or have dietary needs. It's a good time to talk about the fact that all dietary needs are accommodated no matter where in the world we're going. We just ask that you let us know ahead of time. But yeah, the great outdoors, the weather should be great because we're in the springtime, so we should have beautiful clear skies, maybe a little bit of a nip still in the morning and late in the evening, but yeah, so looking forward to those blue skies. Mother Nature, don't let me down.
You'll actually be quite intrigued watching the sheep shearing coming from the north of England as we do. It was certainly a thing where we grew up, and it's actually quite the experience watching them shear a sheep. It's definitely an art form.
It's an art, yeah.
They throw the sheep around very, like I saw it in New Zealand, but the way that they like kind of manhandle the sheep are used to it. It's just a very interesting experience all around. And then what will surely be one of the top, I mean, one of my best travel experiences in my entire life is going to Milford Sound, just south of Queenstown. One of an amazing destination. Tell us a little bit about what people can experience, and then I can kind of give my own personal insight because it was just an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, feel free. Give your personal insights, Michael. I mean, though firsthand experiences are always the best. So tell us a little about your day there, because I have not, this is the one thing on the itinerary I've not done. So super excited for your perspective.
No, absolutely. I mean, in all honesty, I've never seen scenery since and before that. In terms of you're on a ship, you have this amazing lunch. The drive to the destination in and of itself is an experience because you're driving through the mountains, going through some beautiful and amazing tunnels, and coming out of these tunnels and seeing, even more beauty that you couldn't necessarily think could be beaten from what you've seen before. And then when you get to Milford Sound, getting on the ship, getting a chance. In some of those pictures, you can see the waterfall in the background, and it the ship pales in comparison to how big that waterfall actually is and how close you can get to that waterfall. And there's wildlife there as well. We saw sea lions jumping in and out of the water and swimming around. And it was another one of those moments that, you're going against these huge, massive cliffs and you're taking picture after picture. And it is just not, eventually say, this isn't going to do it justice. And you put your camera away because, sometimes you just got to tell people, you should have been there, right? I can only take so many. You should have just been there, right? So it's one of those places in the world that is such a dramatic for you to be in the middle of one of these, glacial sounds, which is kind of carved out into the rock from the glacial movement. It's just the only thing you can describe it as is just breathtaking scenery. And you have a couple hours here, I think, is what you'd mentioned. You have lunch, and then you're hanging around.
We actually take a flight back. So we go down on a glass top on a glass top bus. So we can enjoy the scenery. So you have these large windows. It's also kind of glass on the outer roof shell as well. And then on the way back, you're taking a short, fixed wing plane ride back. So we're doing a bit of everything. We're road, on the boat, and then on a plane this day. So.
Sea and air, we will conquer New Zealand.
Yeah, that'll be an amazing way to see it. Absolutely. Wow, that's going to be a great experience. But like I said, I mean, in terms of scenery, I've rarely, if ever, seen as beautiful scenery as Milford Sound. So your travelers and you guys are definitely in for a treat on this particular journey in Milford Sound. After that, the following day, we head from Queenstown north to the North Island, Rotorua, a very well-known city for its overall volcanic activity. It's very indigenous culture as well in Rotorua. Is another one of those big aspects of Rotorua. So tell us a little bit about Rotorua and some of the experiences there that they can have there at the geothermal valley and that sort of thing.
I think the best thing I can describe from a familiarity point of view for people traveling from the United States is very much like Yellowstone, right? So the geothermal activity, the geysers or the geysers, or everybody around the world says it a little bit different. But this is very much a Yellowstone type of experience day. So we'll be having a traditional hanging meal as well, which is food cooked in the ground, by the heat from the thermal pools. So today is very much about nature, conservation, the natural world, but also to your point as well, the Maori culture, right? So the Maori culture here, we'll be absorbing that culture, learning about that culture. It's so special. It's so different than Australia, and very much a part of life in New Zealand. The language is taught in schools. It's a very integrated component for every New Zealander. And that's something that I really, really appreciated learning about, is how important the origins, the stories, the traditions. Many of us have seen the haka, right? The rugby team, the All Blacks doing the haka before the rugby game.
Oh yeah.
They live and breathe it. So we'll definitely be down there absorbing that, and we'll maybe have a competition about who's the best at the haka. Maybe I'll incorporate that.
Yeah.
You got to videotape that. I got to see Dominic doing the haka. That's the one thing, is I still have an All Blacks jacket from when I was in New Zealand, because they are into their rugby, man. They love their rugby.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, funny
Especially the All
story,
Blacks.
when we used to have our partners also come to the United States and debrief with us, in addition to us going down there and obviously seeing everything firsthand. So our partners from New Zealand, they brought a couple of their Maori friends with them, and they did the haka and insisted I get up on stage in a two-piece twin suit with my heels and everything and do the haka. So it was not a pleasant memory for me, but I did it, and I will dress appropriately this time around.
For those not watching, those watching or listening, watching now, look, if you don't know what haka is, it's definitely worth watching what a haka is, just to envision Nicola doing the haka in a two-piece suit.
Yeah, just look on YouTube for the All Black rugby team.
Yeah, and thank God we didn't have video phones back then. That I don't think that was recorded in perpetuity, but anyway.
Definitely a very rich cultural destination in Rotorua, because above and beyond getting a chance to see the glowworm caves and cultural immersion here in New Zealand. Tell us a little bit about, the glowworm caves that we get a chance to experience, but also our farewell dinner, because if you can believe it or not, this is already the last night of the journey.
I know, already really crazy. So we're on the North Island now. So on our way back, again, Mother Nature gives us gifts upon gifts upon gifts, right? So we'll get to see the natural glowworms that exist in this cave. I mean, such a phenomenal experience. So today is all about, again, Mother Nature. I think that the one thing that you'll get in New Zealand is Mother Nature sure blessed that part of the world, and it is truly spectacular. I mean, we didn't mention it, but the ferns that you'll see, obviously the logo, the silver fern, which is very, you think about that when you think about New Zealand. They're ginormous. I've never seen anything so big in my entire life. And then the underside of it has like that silver shimmer, and learning all about why it's important. Again, the cultural heritage in New Zealand is lived and breathed, and the respect for nature is really apparent. And we'll see this today as well as we're exploring with our naturalist guide.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said it. I love the way you put it. Mother Nature loves New Zealand. Like the way she just she put everything there. It's just amazing. The scenery, the wildlife, it's just one thing after the next. But also on this last evening, we have our farewell dinner. So tell us a little bit about our farewell dinner. Maybe, Dominic, you can speak from your experience on farewell dinners. What is the significance of that farewell dinner?
What I love about the farewell dinner, I think the best one we ever had that I've been on was in Cuba, where we went from a little bar where we had drinks and appetizers, and then before we moved on to the main restaurant. Of course, all the guests were happy, and we had a little drink, and we got stilt walkers to lead us to the restaurant. But when we came out, the Cubans, if they hear a drum, they just dance. And by the time we'd gone like the 300 yards to the restaurant, we had about 300 people following us, stood on the wall, all dancing with the drummers, and all our guests were dancing away, and the people were coming dancing with us. And we just tried to make it a fun experience to finish off what looks to me like an incredible journey. I must say, I'm looking forward to the glowworm cave as well. It really looks like it.
Yeah. The farewell dinner is always a little bittersweet, right? It's, you're ready to kind of sleep in your own bed. But at the same time, you're going to miss the friends that you make along the journey, right? So
Yeah.
that's part of it. Your friends become family, especially in a small group like this, where you're getting about 20 people together, and it's definitely one of those things that's like I said, bittersweet. So
People become
uh,
firm friends, and the little apprehension that you might have had that first day about connecting with people, or how is it going to be traveling in a small group, if it's your first time traveling in a small group, all of those questions might come to mind for people.
Mhm.
This is all about, we're family now and you can't escape kind of thing. It's like,
Right.
we have, text messages back and forth. People are staying in touch with each other. They're setting up when they're going to go and visit each other. All of those
There's
things.
people coming on this journey with us who have met on previous journeys and are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, are you staying on for a couple, or are you going here for a couple of days? I might join you there for a couple of days after the journey."
Yeah.
So that's happened on this journey. People who've met
That's
on
great.
previous journey. I mean, obviously not everyone, but
Some of
I
them.
think we have a lot of journeys like that where people have met on previous journeys and then decide to go on that journey because this person's attending who they. And if you don't go away with a friend, I won't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a great way to end the tour. I just love a farewell dinner. As much as I love a welcome dinner, a farewell dinner is just a great way to bookend the journey. So if you are interested in joining us, I think I spoke with Nicola just before we jumped on. There are only 6 spots left. And I think we had 24, 25 people register for this webinar. So we do anticipate that this tour will be filling up very quickly. So if you are interested in securing your spot, again, the trip is November 1st to the 16th. Later this year, it's $8,999 land only for this once in a lifetime experience based on double occupancy. If you are planning on traveling as a single, there's a single supplement of $1,799 per person. If you do need airfare, Nicola and the team at Nanda Journeys is happy to arrange your airfare for you from any major gateway or really any gateway in the United States to get in into Sydney and out of Auckland. To hold your spot, it's $1,500 per person, and the space is limited to 20 participants. When we do talk about flights, all flights, internal domestic flights, are included in that flight cost. So you're not worried about flying to Cairns or Melbourne or Queenstown. All those flights are inclusive. It's just the international flights that aren't.
Yeah,
I can
so
see
on
that you
that
want
one,
to say something.
Michael, yeah, the flights, yes, you're absolutely right about that. The one flight that's not included, and we can include as part of your international purchase, is
Mm,
that Melbourne to Auckland, because that also is an international flight segment from Australia to New Zealand, but your other flights are included within Australia from Sydney to Cairns, and then Cairns to Melbourne. And then we have, our Queenstown flight as well. So those flights
mm.
are included, but we'll help you book that Melbourne to Auckland segment.
Okay. When you say Melbourne to Auckland, is it Melbourne to Auckland or Melbourne to Queenstown? I'm
To
looking at it now.
Queenstown. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
I'm
so
thinking
sorry.
it's into
That's a
Queenstown.
mistake.
No
That's
worries. Yeah,
my mistake. It's to Queenstown. Thank you.
no worries. Yeah, so that would be the additional flight. So everything, all the internal flights that are domestic are included. It's just that flight from Australia to New Zealand that is not. So,
Correct.
so absolutely. And if you want to fly in early, if you want to stay a little bit longer, you want to experience, maybe you take a trip up to Fiji after you're done in the New Zealand portion. Tell us a little bit about some of the ways that they can customize their experience.
Yeah, and on this journey in particular, again, bucket list, long way. Quite a lot of our guests that have already registered to join us are doing early arrival or staying on. So some people are arriving early in Sydney to combat the jet lag that they're anticipating and do some shopping for some things that they specifically want to shop for or things that they want to do in Sydney. And then some people are staying on to explore a little bit more of New Zealand or go on to Fiji, which if you have time and the budget, it's spectacular. It's completely different to anything that you will have experienced in Australia and New Zealand. The pristine beaches. There are island stays if you want to do an island stay. There is Indigenous Highland experiences that you can do to go drink kava, have a kava ceremony. So very different than what you've done already. And we're there to help you or provide guidance if you're independent and want to take care of those things. Happy to help or be your partner if you need any assistance. But if you can do it, this is the time to do it. If you have the opportunity, I do recommend extending if you can. We tried to pack in as much as we could for the time that we anticipate people being able to spend. But yeah, lots more to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big, it looks small on the map, but it's so much to see and so
It's
much
so
to
bad.
do when
It's
you're
so
there.
bad. Yeah.
And then always recommended, highly recommended, it's not required, but travel protection or journey protection. Tell us a little bit about travel insurance, what it covers, and the reasons why people may want it.
Yeah, and we don't underestimate that this is a significant financial investment for people for this part of the world. Obviously, a little bit more expensive than some of our other journeys that we've offered. Highly recommend insuring your expenses, right? We never know what can happen. So trip cancellation, it can be the offered program trvael that we use, the company that we use. We love trvael, but there's lots of other insurance companies out there. The thing that I encourage everybody to do is please just make sure that this investment is covered. And if you need any assistance or support or you have questions, I know some credit cards will cover portions of travel, not all travel expenses. So feel free to get in touch and let us know how we can help you make sure that that's taken care of.
Yeah. Travel insurance is one of those things. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because if you don't have it, it can be very, very expensive in
That's
certain
the worst
instances.
conversation I ever have with people is
Yeah.
2 days before and they call and they're sick and they can't travel and they don't have insurance. It's the most heartbreaking conversation to have with somebody.
Yeah. So it's the last thing you want to deal with when you're not feeling well either.
Yeah.
So I don't see any questions. I don't know if that's because we don't have a very engaged bunch, or if the questions aren't available, or if you want to take
I
yourself
hope
off
it
mute.
works. I hope it's working.
Yeah, if you do have questions, just open up that webinar chat. Feel free to drop the questions in the chat. In the meantime, what I'll do is I have a question in regards to the weather. I know you said it's springtime. I'm opening up the Q&A. I don't see anything in the Q&A either, but I know it's springtime. What kind of weather can they expect? Oh, you are sending it to everyone, so everyone can see it. Maybe I'm the only one that can't. So in terms of weather, what can they kind of expect for weather? What should they be packing? How should they pack for a journey like this?
Yeah, so we're spring, but it is starting to be on that kind of end of their spring time. So the temperatures are going to be getting a little bit warmer. It will be different in each location, right? So even within Australia, Sydney and Cairns is going to be a little bit different. But we're going to have nice warm temperatures. So we're going to have, 70s. Tracy, chat shows disabled. So
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. Need to figure that for the future. Put your conversations in chat if you can. Can you chat here, Tracy? Or is it just
Q&A?
Q&A? Yeah, so
Yeah, I think it's just Q&A.
everything in just Q&A. Apologies to everybody if you wanted to interact here and didn't have the opportunity to. So let me just answer Tracy. So yeah, varying temperatures, I would say from 70s to maybe even 90 degrees, depending when, Mother Nature is different the world over now. I mean,
Yeah.
we arrived in Spain, 6 or 7 weeks ago, and they'd had 50 days of straight rain in southern Spain. So she is a little bit more
which they've never
with us.
Well, the older people have never seen that in their life.
Never seen it in their life. But we should be having really pleasant temperatures on average in the 70s, I would say. So always say pack a layer. We will be having lots of conversations with people preparing you for travel, providing all of those details and answers to those very specific questions about packing and what to take and luggage limitations and things like that. No specific vaccination requirements or anything of that nature. Just always be up to date with your standard vaccinations is what we recommend for everyone. But yeah, we should have exceptionally pleasant weather before the crazy hot temperatures of December kick in. And we probably wouldn't want to be there for that.
Yeah. And then in terms of like the domestic flights, how long are those flights? I know everything looks close on the map, but obviously they aren't as close as they look on the map. So how long could they expect those flights to be domestically or in between Australia and New Zealand?
The longest one is from Melbourne to Queenstown. I think that's like 3 hours, 45 minutes. So we have a couple of short hoppers, and then we have a couple that are a couple of hours. but 3.5 to 3 hours, 45 minutes is the longest one.
Yeah. Doesn't look like we have any other questions from any of the audience. So I will leave the final words to you and Dominic about joining you on this amazing trip to Australia before we wrap it up.
You go first.
Well, I would just say, if you get the chance, join us, because I think this journey, looking through if you look through the itinerary, there's something for everyone. And I think there's also a lot of things that you won't be expecting, that you will probably never see in your life before or after. So come along. Me and Nicola are quite good fun, really. We might not look it, but we're actually quite good fun to travel with. So we've been told.
I did forget to cheers everybody. It is 8 p.m. here, so we're not day drinking, but when we were talking about the wine tasting, we love to have a good time, but more importantly, we love everybody around us to have a good time. And please do consider joining us. If you have questions, we're always available to answer those. Just be in touch. We can't wait to see you down under, travel with you, and welcome you in person as parts of the Nanda family. And just thank you for being here and for your interest.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. Thank you to our audience who listened to us. Thank you for watching this recording. If you're watching this recording, if you do have any other questions or concerns or want more information, you see the contact information there. You can give us a phone call, shoot us an email at info@nandajourneys.com. We look forward to seeing you on the next Nanda presentation, but more importantly, we look forward to seeing you in Australia and New Zealand later this year. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.